His reviews will get you further than the film will ever go. If you give him just a moment of your time, he'll let you know which movies rock, which movies stink, which movies shouldn't have been released. Say hello to Confused Matthew.
It's pretty common knowledge by now that I'm not a big Terry Gilliam fan, at least as far as the films that I've seen go, nor am I a particular fan of his philosophy of films. So as much as I tried to avoid it, I did go into this movie with one or two expectations. Frankly, I was expecting it to be bad. I had never seen the film before this request, but I had heard of it and I had seen a few scenes here and there, and I really thought it was going to be crap. I couldn't have been more wrong. This is an Orwellian story revolving around an Orwellian society with kind of a different twist. It isn't just about Big Brother watching your every move and kidnapping you at need. There is that element, but this film also explores a different side of government control, the bureaucracy side. The first half of this film is mostly about the government just making life more complicated than it needs to be for the average citizen. Everything must be done according to a procedure, and with endless amounts of paperwork, and when things don't go according to plan, people freak out about it far more than they need to. This is an aspect of an Orwellian tale that has been underexplored in a film like this, and was damned original and interesting. What's also original and interesting is the world that this is set in. It's just downright weird, but good weird. The people of this world all seem to have settled into the way things are, and they basically just deal with whatever happens. You have terrorist attacks going on in this film against the civilian population, and everyone just sits there like, alright, whatever. I guess it's just a part of life. I think that as far as Orwellian stories go, this might be the best interpretation that I've seen, aside from the actual Orwell stories, of course. Unlike most interpretations, this film does something very unique. It features the people in government and the bureaucracy as regular people. They aren't bad people looking to come into your house and turn your life upside down. Most of them are actually too busy and too bogged down with paperwork to even bother about how this is affecting you. The majority of characters in this bureaucracy are more frustrated than they are evil or sinister, and I thought that was very well done. Almost every character in this movie is good. They're not trying to hurt anyone. They're just trying to get by, like you. And that goes double for the main character of Sam Lowry. The thing about Sam is that he just wants to live his life, damn it, but just about every character and circumstance in the film is making that nearly impossible for him. Whether he's at his job in the bureaucracy or hanging out with the upper class, Sam never really fits in, because he doesn't need any of this. He just wants to be a regular guy. But in this film, working for the government and doing things according to government standards is compulsory. Therefore, any freelance work is considered terrorism. This gives us a hilarious take on what in a serious movie would be a serious rebellion. Someone standing up to the powers that be is usually portrayed as noble, but here it's both noble and hilarious. A freelance air conditioning repairman behaves more like a superhero than anything else, because in this world, that is what you have to be in order to be a freelance anything. And that was funny as hell. The whole plot revolves around a misprint that shouldn't be that big a deal, but causes events to spiral out of control. Sam just wants to get things corrected so that he can move on with his life, and in that process, he continues to have dreams about a free-spirited woman being captured, and he must rescue her. The dreams in this film are the most interesting dream sequences I've seen in anything. They look and feel like real dreams. Every time one of these rolls around, I was captivated. He eventually runs into a woman in real life who looks exactly like the woman in his dreams, and a situation ensues that forces him to try and save her. Thus, the reality of his situation is coinciding with the reality of his dreams. The relationship between he and the woman is, of course, a love story, and it's a bit rushed, but once we get to know these two as a couple, we really start to care about them. The story is more interesting in the beginning than it is in the end. As with most dark comedies, it gets darker and more serious as it approaches the finale, and while that's to be expected, it does wear you a bit thin. Truth be told, the film was better in the beginning than it was in the end, and after a while, Brazil does overstay its welcome a bit, but as a dark comedy, it's very solid. Dark comedies are hard as hell to pull off right. There have been more colossal failures with that style than in any other type of storytelling in the history of art. Because when you write a dark comedy, you are setting out on the impossible task of combining funny things with things that aren't funny at all. You have to hit that mark perfectly in order to avoid either not being funny or simply being in bad taste. Brazil hits that mark perfectly. This film is also visually interesting. Gilliam was clearly inspired by Kubrick with his directing style, and while it doesn't reach that level of directorial perfection, it is superb, and manages to be its own kind of directing rather than just a Kubrick ripoff. The ending of this film was re-edited in the United States because the studio thought the original ending was too depressing. This was all based on the test audience's reaction to the film, which really turns my stomach in a knot. In my view, the audience that sees your final completed film is your test audience. In what other art form do you have people looking at your art before it's finished and telling you what changes to make? Who the fuck are they? I'm sorry, this is really an issue that I should make a whole other video about, but the bottom line is that the happy, audience-patronizing and insulting ending sucks. If you see this movie, see the original version. Brazil is funny, it's dark, it's interesting, it's thought-provoking, it's just damn good. The film succeeds in hitting every mark that it aims for, and while it may have been just a bit longer than it needed to be, it is truly excellent overall. I highly recommend it to anyone interested in the artistic and the weird, and to Terry Gilliam, I'm sorry I told you to fuck yourself in the neck.